My name is Jeremy Teal, and this is my presentation on Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist who lived from 1908 to 1970. He is most widely known for his development of the human hierarchy of needs, later known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, his theory of self-actualization, which is actually cited in 82% of psychology textbooks, and along with Gordon Allport, George Kelly, Rollo May, and Carl Rogers, he helped co-found the American Association of Humanistic Psychology. Maslow also made several notable literary contributions, including Motivation and Personality, Toward Psychology of Being, Religion, Values, and Peak Experiences, Utopian Management, and The Psychology of Science, a Reconnaissance. Abraham Maslow was born in Brooklyn, New York on April 1, 1908. He was the oldest of seven born to Jewish immigrant parents from Kiev, Ukraine, then a part of the Russian Empire. They had fled due to political unrest. The patriarch of the family, Samuel, was a drinker who took any opportunity he could to belittle and degrade young Abraham. Over the years, this relationship would improve, and Maslow would be able to talk about his father in a more positive light from time to time. The matriarch of the family, Rose, was despised by Maslow. He viewed his mother as a narcissistic, prejudiced, stingy, selfish, dirty, sloppy woman incapable of loving anything. Early 1900s America was rife with anti-Semitic attitudes and beliefs. Maslow stated that being Jewish in his neighborhood was akin to being a black student in a newly desegregated school. Because of these attitudes, Maslow had very few friends growing up. He spent his time hanging out in libraries with books as his company, and it was here that he developed his love for reading and learning. While Maslow did not excel in athletics, he was active in academic clubs and was the editor of Principia, the school's Latin magazine. Abraham graduated from Brooklyn Boys High School in 1925. Following graduation, he attended City College of New York, where he took his normal class load, and Brooklyn Law School, where he worked on his legal studies. He soon realized how much he disliked this and dropped out. He then attended Cornell, but after a semester he dropped out due to costs and poor grades. In 1928, Abraham would end up at the University of Wisconsin, where he would earn his bachelor, master's, and doctoral degrees in psychology. In 1935, Maslow began research on human sexuality at Columbia University, where he would publish several papers on the subject. In 1937, Maslow was on the move again, this time to be a member of the faculty at Brooklyn College, where he would teach for 14 years until 1951. During this time, in 1947, Maslow suffered a heart attack, which led him to taking time away from the university until 1949. Maslow relocated once again in 1951, this time to Brandeis University for a position as professor. He spent 18 years at Brandeis before becoming a resident Longfellow of the Laughlin Institute in California during 1969. It was also during his time at Brandeis that he helped co-found the American Association of Humanistic Psychology. Sadly, on June 8, 1970, Abraham Maslow passed away in Menlo Park, California. He suffered a major heart attack while jogging. He was only 62 years old. Maslow's contributions. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is one of the first basic theories many high school students are introduced to in psychology, and one of the most memorable. Its depiction, a pyramid, is forever seared into the memory of high school students across the country. This theory lays out the 5 basic needs of human beings in the shape of a pyramid, with the most basic physiological forming the base of the pyramid. These are the biological needs, such as food, water, and oxygen. These are the most important needs, since the deprivation of these things would lead a person to discontinue all other endeavors to fulfill these needs. When physiological needs are fulfilled, a person will progress to the second level of the hierarchy, their safety. The third level is the need for love, affection, and belongingness. People naturally seek to avoid being lonely and feeling alienated, and enjoy giving out love as much as receiving it. Once the need for love and affection has been fulfilled, a person can begin to fulfill the need for esteem. It is important to remember to fulfill this need. It includes both self-esteem and the esteem of others. It is an all-encompassing thing that a person must have to gain self-confidence. The final level, the tip of the pyramid, is the need for self-actualization. When all of the previous needs have been met, a person can begin the process of self-actualization. Maslow describes self-actualization as a person's need to be and to do what they were born to do. The common illustration of Maslow's hierarchy of needs depicts it as a pyramid, which Maslow never actually described it as. Criticism has emerged about this depiction because it implies that the layers must be in place and fortified to move on to the next level. You can't skip around. Perhaps a better illustration and description of Maslow's hierarchy of needs would be that of a Jenga puzzle before its eventual collapse. All of the levels are equally important and equally accessible, but if you chip away at one level, everything above that point becomes unstable and more easily disturbed. Maslow did extensive work on self-actualization. To Maslow, the process of self-actualization was an ongoing one that a person experiences throughout the course of their life. In most cases, mentally healthy adults will follow a path called growth motivation. The path will go through stages in which behaviors shift from that of self-indulgence, D needs, deficient needs, which are psychological, safety, love, and belonging and esteem, to selflessness and altruism, which are B needs, or being needs, as the person ages. Being needs, B needs, would be cognitive, aesthetic, self-actualization, and self-transcendence. Maslow felt that this progression towards self-actualization would have positive benefits for society, increasing compassion, care, problem-solving, and altruism. Many of Maslow's theories have found real-world applications. The Huntsville, Alabama Alternative School was created to isolate students with severe behavioral problems from the population of students that were progressing as expected in the traditional school setting. They started by hiring competent staff with a range of talents and certified in multiple academic areas. The roadmap for the program to follow was laid out by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. To meet the students' physiological needs, staff prepare breakfast each day, set up clothing banks, and promote personal hygiene. To meet safety and security needs, staff provide the students with non-threatening family-like environment. Teachers became active participants in their students' lives, getting to know the things that mattered to them. The sense of belonging was created by praise and approval of positive behaviors, counteracting the labels that had been applied to them. The primary goal being to fight the root issue of the negative behavior, self-concept. In closing, I feel that in a lot of areas, Maslow was ahead of his time. His work on self-actualization and self-transcendence are concepts that have gained much more traction and interest in recent years, especially with the increased interest in self-care and self-acceptance. Further application of his hierarchy of needs in the education sector, as in Huntsville, offer new approaches to education that could have broader applications as well.